All right, so we are back, and it feels like I do this video every 6 months to a year. And it just continues to be the question that never gets answered, which is if or when we're going to see KSI fight Jake Paul. But today's video is more so a sidebar to that, because while Jake and KSI are going back and forth on Twitter again, it essentially just got leaked that KSI is fighting Amir in August, and we have to talk about that and why it's insane to believe, but I kind of told you this would happen. And I guess we'll talk about what all this back and forth between Jake and KSI means, even though I'm going to spoil it for everyone that's watching. It doesn't mean a whole lot, at least not right now. It's a lot of talking. We've seen it before, and I have a feeling it's going to lead to nowhere except what today's topic is. KSI versus Amir Khan's officially a dangerous fight. What do I mean? The breakdown. Let's go. All right, so as of yesterday, which was June 1st, the world was woken up to once again the rumors and online Twitter beef between KSI and Jake Paul, and the will they, won't they fight talks that we've been doing since 2020. It just feels like at this point it's the same old story, but let's talk about it. After Jake's postponed fight with Mike Tyson, he got on Twitter to essentially call KSI out and say, listen, I can't fight Mike on July 20th. They're going to back it up to, it seems like, October, November time frame. So in the meantime, in between time, he says KSI's coach is saying KSI is over 200 pounds right now, so no weight excuses. Let's run it for July 20th, then Paul Tyson in October, November. That tells me a couple things. One, I think they are just as tired of this back and forth talk as everybody else is, because July 20th doesn't really offer a lot of time for build up or, you know, the whole press tour thing you would want to do for a fight that big. And honestly, July 20th wouldn't be a terrible time frame. Now, the big issue is the only issue that's always separating these two, and that's weight. Jake being a lot heavier than KSI, but 6 to 7 weeks, in my opinion, would be far and away enough for JJ to get prepared for Jake if they could agree on a weight. Jake says here 200 pounds. And again, I'm going to hit you with a shocker, not the one you give your girl, but 200 pounds is not going to happen. As much as Jake has moved to 200 and he's fought his last couple there, and now he's like 240 or whatever it is, 230, 240. KSI in no way, shape, or form is going to come up to 200 pounds and stay there. Yes, his coach did say that they were around or over 200 pounds right now, and they were purposely making him bigger, getting him stronger, but I don't think he will fight at that weight. I think we're getting him to 200, and then he's going to cut back down to 185. Or again, what I think is now official, the Amir Khan fight. He's going to try to come in bigger, stronger than Amir Khan and try to land a right hand and knock him dead. That's pretty easy to see right now. They're going to lean into JJ's power for the Amir Khan fight. They've seen Amir Khan's chin, as he's gotten a little older, get a little worse. I mean, it's like Augusta win and he does the chicken dance, yeah? Against elite level fighters. Let me put that out there. It's still Amir God. But okay, that's the first tweet that kicks off all this stuff, that ramps up the KSI Jake talk, because yes, that's the fight we've always wanted. And it's unfortunate that we have to keep doing this Tony Ferguson, Khabib Nurmagomedov, Tyson Fury, Anthony Joshua. Fuck, is it going to happen? Is it not going to happen? Shit. So KSI obviously saw that tweet, responded back to it and said, I already have a fight lined up in August, which this started to be a little bit of the spoiler alert stuff that ended up leaking and confirming that he's going to fight Amir Khan in August. He said, I've already got a fight lined up in August. Instead of you fighting an OAP, which someone told me in my live stream chat means overage pensioner. That's what it is. Instead of you fighting an OAP at the end of the year, parentheses, no one wants to see this, fight me in December instead. All right, well, a couple of things. One, there are a lot of people that do want to see Jake fight Mike Tyson, and it doesn't represent the online community or the YouTube boxing community or the community that wants to see Mike not get knocked out cold by Jake Paul, because I'm going to remind you, that's what's probably going to happen. But I've had a lot of pushback from people outside of the internet or the older generation that does want to see Mike Tyson. Again, however you feel about that fight, there are going to be a massive amount of eyes on it. I would argue more than KSI and Jake right now. No offense to this community, and everybody's going to say, no, Wade, you're crazy, you're fired. I'm just telling you, there are a lot more people in the general public that aren't in the YouTube boxing, internet boxing bubble that do want to see that fight, that know who Mike Tyson is across the world, that are going to want to see. But JJ says, fight me in December instead. So again, we have this somewhat public negotiation going down, where now it's who's going to be the A side, who's going to cave, because you see Jake throw out the date and the weight, 200 pounds, October, November, and JJ counters, doesn't say anything about the weight yet, but goes, now fight me in December. And this has been a huge problem between these two and the two camps that are behind them, trying to figure out who's going to be the A side and who's going to just give up a little bit of ground and say, okay, well, here's the date, here's the location, here's the weight. No one is really budging right now, but nevertheless, The ping pong ball goes back to Jake, and he says, just out of nowhere, just completely leaks that KSI is going to fight Amir Khan. He goes, KSI versus Amir Khan, I f with. Good entertainment. What? Leo, why are you under every tweet? Thank you for leaking the fight, I get. I mean, real though, leaking the fight. And you know what's interesting? This is a picture from obviously a long, long time ago, before JJ even started boxing. But you can already see, just standing here, the size difference between JJ and Amir Khan. And this is something they're going to lean into. Like I said, that's the reason they're bulking JJ up. This is it. He's already taller. He's already naturally bigger. Amir Khan used to fight at 140, 147. The biggest he got was 155. So JJ's going to have a massive size advantage in this fight, which, I mean, it's Amir Khan, so JJ has to have something, you know? So yeah, he's going to have a massive size advantage, and they're relying on the fact that he's going to be able to touch him on the chin with that power. Again, very interesting, and I commend JJ if this thing gets officially announced, which you almost have to guarantee it will now that Jake's leaked it. Now that KSI's confirmed he's got an opponent, and Amir Khan essentially confirms it on his own Twitter. If he dies, he dies, then fuck Jake Paul up. So yeah, this is what's happening. It's crazy. And I'll go as far as to say this. As it stands currently, Amir Khan, age 37, now granted, he's a lot smaller than JJ, but technique and skill-wise will be the most talented boxer at the present time that any influencer boxer has faced, outside of the Logan Paul and Floyd Mayweather fight, which is a little bit of a gimmick. And Logan had about 40 pounds on Floyd, not just in reality and then cutting down, but actually at the weigh-in. It was, you know, it was an exhibition, but this is right there behind it, and this is going to be sanctioned as a pro fight. So you got to respect JJ for taking it, man. I told you guys, if he asked Slim to do it, then he better be willing to do it. He is. Fair play. All respect there. Now, after Jake just seemingly leaks it, he comes back. I just gave KSI and his forehead... These two having a forehead off, there is no winner, all right? Both of them with the hairlines peeled back look like bowling balls at your local 10-pin league. Jake or KSI can't really go after the hairlines. That's like off limits. You gotta find something else. I just gave KSI and his forehead the opportunity again for July. He said he's cool with fighting in August. Cool. I'm fighting in October, November. February it is, 200 pounds, MSG, New York. Get it done at Most Valuable Promotions. Now, again, a little bit of the game being played here. He doesn't move off the 200 pounds. He adds a location, but he moves off the date and says, okay, if you're going to fight in August, we'll give you time. February, which I think, if I remember back, was one of the original time slots or dates that they wanted to do in the first place, because Jake and Most Valuable Promotions understand if you're going to fight in the U.S. or really at all, you don't run against NFL or college football. It's just not a good idea. You're going to siphon off a massive portion of your audience base, at least here in the U.S., where a lot of the pay-per-view sales come from. So February is a date they like. I think they fought Tommy Fury in February as well. But anyway, can return ping pong serve here, and JJ comes back. If Leo's under this tweet, dude. Okay, he's not under this one. You asked for 185, Jake, you fraudulent goof. I don't know if I could say that word, so we're going to replace it. Leo, actually mark it out and replace it. The old folks' home has run out of options. This is all just noise. You don't really want to fight. December, let's run it. 185, no bullshit, no excuses. Okay, so again, this is where we get the stalemate. KSI is not moving off the weight, and he's not moving off the date. Jake wants February 200. KSI wants December at 185. If Jake and Mike do end up fighting, and this thing is postponed and rescheduled for October, November, there's no shot he's fighting in December. And again, the 200 pounds and 185, I have been a personal proponent of saying, let's just meet at 190. Jake has fought there, and it's going to have to be a big cut for Jake now. But realistically, Jake is only at 230 for the Mike Tyson fight. Like, he's around 200 normally anyway. It's a cut to get to 190. I get that, but these two are not the same size. Jake is far bigger just in walking around weight. Normally, as a person, I've been next to both of them. I've seen their body types. Pause. I know how they look. I know just by seeing them what their frame looks like and the weight they can hold. Jake is probably naturally 30 pounds bigger than KSI. That's just the truth. He walks around at like 210, 215. JJ, you know, when he's out of shape, yeah, gets around 200, but I would say he's probably in a decent enough shape, eating right, at about 190. And then when he cuts and gets into camp, he drops even further to like 180. So it's tough. There's going to have to be, like I've told you guys so many times, a compromise. Maybe 190. But I guarantee you one thing, it's not going to be 185, and it's not going to be 200. I mean, I would be shocked if JJ said yes to 200. If he did, again, all the respect in the world, I don't think that's going to happen. And again, if Jake said yes to 185, all the respect in the world, it's going to be a rough cut, especially where he's at now. Maybe it wouldn't have been about a year ago, but now he's going to look like Christian Bale in The Machinist. Leo, put that picture on screen. It's going to look rough for him to cut. I mean, it's not going to be 230, but from 215 to 185, it's going to be brutal. It's not going to be great. That's where KSI had his answer. And then Jake fired back with this one, and we're just going to move on. And of course, Leo is under another Jake Paul tweet. Leo, are you a closeted Jake Paul fan at this point? Jake says 2 fights in February. Again, not moving off the February date. Jake Paul versus KSI. Logan Paul versus Deji. I saw where someone reposted Deji's mom, who, again, I love that lady. She is a saint. She said, she like quote tweeted this or some other tweet and was like, over my dead body. There is nothing like a mother's instinctual protection of her child, and she is right. That's not a fight that Deji should go for and or want. And I'm not saying that because Logan's a particularly good boxer. He's just ridiculously big. Pause. He's way too big for Deji. That's not, again... in the boxing ring. But then we had Mams Taylor, who you guys know, manager, KSI, also does his deals, CEO, Misfits, all that stuff. Anyway, he said, I will send a contract to Jake for a fight against KSI if he is really about it. Same terms we all agreed on before. He changed his mind to fight Nate Diaz instead. JJ will even go up to 185 pounds rather than the previously agreed 180. The people deserve this fight once and for all. Let's give them what they want. December 2024/February 2025. Okay, there's a little bit of a moving there from Mams Taylor. And the reason I'm doing this is so that we can have the check marks and we can go back and see, okay, what was agreed upon and what still needs to be the case. And again, this video has turned into a KSI versus Jake thing, and we'll get back to the KSI versus Amir Khan, which is actually going to happen, but I just want this stuff written down, or at least remembered in the history book, so that we can finally just check things off the list if this is ever going to happen. So February 2025 seems like the agreed upon date. We still don't have a location. Again, they're not moving off 185. And honestly, I don't blame him for it. Just like I don't blame Jake for wanting 200. It's just both sides, someone's got to compromise. And I think that's 190. But again, I don't know that that's something that both sides are going to agree on. And Mams also says he wants everyone in a room with live stream negotiations, no hiding behind legal jargon. Okay, this is not how serious business is done, but I love it because it does show you the difference between how Mams and KSI want this done and how Jake and Nikisa or MVP want this done. Like, this is an entertainment show. And putting the live stream contracts and let's do it live and Aiden Ross will moderate it. Like, no, dude, that's not. We come to the same conclusion that we've always had in this back and forth, is that we're almost no closer than we were 2 years ago, than we were 3-4 years ago. And it's still the one big issue, maybe two, one being the location of the fight. But I am saying KSI is too light for Jake and Jake is too heavy for KSI. Someone has got to compromise, communicate, take a little bit of a hit to get this fight in the ring. And I don't know who's going to do it. I don't know if it's going to be Mams and KSI or if it's going to be Jake and MVP and Nikisa. I don't know. Maybe it's both. Put the feelings aside, put the personal whatever aside. Let's just get this done. But in the meantime, the actual thing that came out of this is that KSI is fighting Amir Khan in August. We're 2 months away from that. They're going to announce it shortly, I assume. I mean, I would have, if I was Misfits, capitalized on what happened yesterday with everybody leaking stuff. KSI didn't say it, but Amir Khan did. I would have dropped it now. Give you 2 months to build this thing up. I assume maybe they will this week, and maybe as this video comes out, that might be it. But that's a massive fight for KSI. It's a dangerous fight for KSI. This is not Tommy Fury. This is a very, very high-level boxer he's going in there with. And again, yes, he's been pretty inactive over the last 5 years. And yeah, he's a 140-pound fighter, but in his retirement, he's gotten bigger, obviously. But still, it's going to be a massive weight difference, I think, on the night of the fight, or at least a size difference. And JJ will own those advantages, but Amir Khan will own every other advantage: boxing skill, experience, understanding of the game, muscle memory, how to avoid big punches, hopefully. But the reality is KSI should not win this fight. He shouldn't. He should not even be in a ring with Amir Khan, which is why I said I respect it even more. And as it sits right now, KSI is the massive underdog for good reason, but I'm not going to tell you it's impossible, because it is not impossible. He may not have a great chance to win, but he does have a chance. And it's always in that right hand or that left hook behind it, because he does, if you talk to anybody that's trained with, fought against, been in there with JJ, have ridiculous power for his size. And as his size gets bigger, so does his power. So I will be anticipating an announcement this week from Misfits, but you guys let me know down below, what, if anything, did we learn in this situation with Jake, with KSI, with Amir Khan being leaked as KSI's new opponent, and again, still the Jake KSI fight determined by who is going to give up their weight advantage or disadvantage and just get this thing signed. Because I don't have the answers. Mine is 190, no rehydration, but I have a feeling that's not the right one either. So what happens next? KSI, Amir, we're going to break it down as we get closer. Jake, KSI, will it ever happen? We're still asking that question, but I guess we'll find out.